Coming up, will a new weapons deal between Russia and Syria push Israel to the brink? That's one of the questions facing our administration, or at least the next one, as the evil empire continues to provoke the West. We'll have a closer look in just a bit. But first, welcome to the real story. The Democratic convention is kicking off. Oh, I love this. The Republican convention starts next week. Don't you just love the smell of smarmy politicians in the morning? If you look at our options, and I think we got a couple of them. We got the Republican and the Democrat. Oof, pretty bleak, aren't they? But hey, at least we're only in the middle of two wars. Our economy is dying a slow, painful death, and we're all slaves to foreign oil, and illegal immigrants are flooding in by the millions. But other than that, this is sweet. Back in the old days, if you didn't like the government, you just move out over west. I mean, who's going to climb those mountains to follow you? You know what I mean? You just grab some land and call it your own and say, "Get off my land!" And everything was pretty sweet. Now your options pretty much limited to becoming a citizen of a different country. I mean, I thought about the Bahamas, and then I thought, I mean, they're just going to be a citizen of the world soon, too. So the only other option is to start a revolution, but that's so much work. I mean, Ron Paul's didn't work out well. Maybe he needed a few of these pitchforks, I'm not sure. But there may be a third option now. The real story is the ocean. Yes, people now are, believe it or not, so disenfranchised with our own government that they're taking to the seas. It's called seasteading. And the basic idea is to set up, there it is, a floating outpost in international waters and try out different kinds of political and social systems. It's kind of like a little floating city-state, which I think I saw in Waterworld, and I didn't like the ending of that movie. If you don't like your current platform policies, you just sail or swim over to a different one. Previous attempts at similar ocean utopias surprisingly have failed, but this one, led by the Seasteading Institute, has the financial backing of PayPal founder and Google engineer and a hedge fund principal. It costs only a mere few $100 million to build a seastead for a few thousand people. But house prices are falling. The Institute expects a prototype, who would have guessed it, off of San Francisco Bay within 2 years. Joe Lonsdale is the chairman of the Seasteading Institute and principal at Clarium Capital Management. Okay, John, who are these people? Because I have to tell you, part of me says, you're out of your mind nuts. The other part says, John Galt. I'm looking for a place where I can just be a capitalist and I can be left alone by the government. Who are these people that are doing this?
Well, it's a combination of people, Glenn. A few of us are, we're the guys who create institutions that are changing the world, and we've changed a lot of industries so far here in Silicon Valley. But we haven't been able to change the government. That's a pretty hard one. And then we have Patrick Friedman, our co-founder. His grandfather was Milton Friedman, one of the greatest economists of the 20th century, and he wrote a book about this. He had some great ideas, and he wanted to put them into practice. And so he came and met us. We're the guys who make things happen.
So I mean, it would have so much more credibility if it was like, I don't know, Kansas behind you, but it's San Francisco. What kind of crazy community is this going to be? No, I mean, is it going to be bigger government?
It's like you said, it's a frontier, and I think California is the frontier of the nation if you're going to have one, but we ran out of room, so we have to keep going here.
But so this is a smaller government kind of idea, right?
Well, a lot of us are libertarians, but the idea is much bigger than any one political system. It's really an idea about how government should function.
Well, but help me out. I mean, before I get in my boat and sail out to sea, give me some idea. What kind of government are we talking about?
Well, I mean, there's going to be a lot of them that people start. I mean, we'll probably start ones that are a lot more libertarian at first. But the real thing we're going for here is, the founders of America created a bunch of checks on power. Yeah. And the most important check, well, I think, was the Federalist system, where if you didn't like something, you leave and you go try it out. And the central government's supposed to be really small. Yeah. And you have all sorts of options. And that way, you see what works, you see what doesn't work. That's gone right now. And so, if you want to make America
a little uncomfortable saying this with San Francisco right behind you, but I'm in love with what you're saying. I'm in love with you. I really am. Let me ask you this. Who is, I just love the libertarian idea. Who's protecting these? I mean, you don't fly an American flag over there. The Navy's not going to help you. If something happens, we're having a problem now in the Gulf with pirates.
That's a good question. I mean, the thing is, you already do have millions of people living on the high seas on cruise ships, and they tend to do pretty well. the oil ships do. So there already are some examples of why it's safe. So I think it's pretty unlikely these get attacked relative to other things. We probably don't want to start it off the coast of Africa.
Right. Well, would the ROTC, would they be allowed to recruit at your schools if you had any? I'm just wondering.
We did have a big fight about that at our schools out
Joe,
here. Unfortunately, we lost.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. All right, let's go back to land lubbers.